The last time I talked about this subject matter, I was dismissed for the most part, and for some others, they said, well, it might not necessarily be something that is critical for the success or for the health of a video game. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for even clicking this video. We're going to be talking about Hogwarts Legacy, and for me, one thing about video games is from the community aspect, I'm always invested and dialed in, and the different factors that can sometimes affect how a community visualizes or at least experiences a video game in the most part are of huge concern to me. Today, I want to talk about the possibility of the developers actually giving a demo for Hogwarts Legacy. There are a lot of different opportunities where the devs can actually curate specific sections of the game that are not going to reveal spoilers and actually present that to the community or provide something where everybody can get their hands on the game. Now, demos somewhat are controversial. A lot of people in the gaming community seem to be more and more uninterested in demos until after the game releases, and then they start saying, oh, a demo would have been nice. The last time I spoke heavily about demos was before the release of Gotham Knights. Gotham Knights was a video game that from the reveal, anyone who was paying attention could have already seen that the game was going to be divisive. Many of those who were already gamers in the Arkham ecosystem were more than likely not going to dial in with the game, while those who were just fans overall probably had a little bit more of a chance to somewhat accept the game as it came. Basically, a new concept, RPG game, 4-player or 2-player co-op depending on how you're looking at it, and a new system in introducing superheroes to their audiences. Hogwarts Legacy is doing something new. They're creating an open world game set in the Harry Potter universe, but is actually happening before the events of Harry Potter. So you're probably not going to see or get too many references to Harry Potter as a character, but there are elements within Hogwarts as a whole and the wizarding world that are going to be introduced here. I strongly believe that one way the developers can actually start to appeal to their audiences, and even audiences far and wide, is that they provide a demo, a playable demo, before the game releases. Playable demos are able to help for people to make decisions on game feel and as to how the game is going to basically play for them. The thing that you are missing from every single game when it's actually in its reveal phase is usually a taste of the game itself or a slice of you actually playing the game. As much as the fans are already dialed into Hogwarts Legacy, and you know yourselves, there are others who are probably still interested that would love to be able to get an assessment of how the game will be before they finally pull the plug on a purchase. And this, I think, is the audience that a demo would appeal to, or at least will be much helpful to for the most part. For those of you who are already maybe dialed in, you've already pre-ordered, a demo is just going to be maybe icing on top of the already iced cake, depending on how you want to look at it, because I know a lot of fans are quite excited for this game coming out very soon. Now, the conversation of a demo also, in my opinion, provides some kind of a community stability in the conversation surrounding the game, which is that by the time the game releases, a lot of people would have had the chance to gain a lot more knowledge surrounding the game as is. That way, people are not going to come out on the other end sharing their disappointments, in quote, about the game. Because as much as you might be, and I'm talking to you, the fan base, excited about Hogwarts Legacy, there are people who are even within the fan base that may not necessarily receive the satisfaction that they were expecting from the product overall. It's just the way video games are. It's just the way art is. It's difficult to satisfy or at least appeal to everyone, so some people might have some qualms here and there. But at least a demo provides a little bit of that bridge to be able to say, this game is for me at the moment, or the game is not for me. And the conversations about demos actually span with a few challenges, but I'm also going to use a little bit of, say, some external look at different video games that have provided betas and demos in the recent weeks to kind of push against that argument. So when I talk about demos, I know there are developers who actually watch some of my content that have said to me and said, you know, demos are actually difficult to put together. It actually takes away time from the development team focusing on the main game itself. I do understand. And that's one thing about development. Development is something where you as a developer and those who are working within that ecosystem, you focus your mind on and you're trying to get the very best product out for your community. But on the other hand, one thing about the entire game itself is everything that can actually lean towards your advantage from the video game and the community side is just as important as the amount of time you're spending developing the game. You do not want to spend all that time developing your video game only for some random spark of controversy, which is easily thrown out these days and can easily affect your game, its sales, and the way you're perceived as a developer, to come in and ruin things for you. So A demo is, in my opinion, that middle ground. And I think development teams should and must take out time to curate this aspect of their video game. This is where it's very, very important, and other teams are doing it themselves. And yes, I can understand personally from learning game development that it is a very difficult task. I cannot imagine making a AAA game in this world that has all kinds of elements and the stack of difficulties that the developers would have had to overcome in order for them to be able to get to this point. Hence, a demo, in my opinion, is going to be that security shield. You see, one thing about a lot of people is they'll find reasons to complain. And yes, you can just say, well, this is probably what's going to happen. People are going to complain anyways if they don't like the product. But I think the demo really does open the door for bigger and broader conversations. And who knows, with the demo out, more people who are probably not looking at the game can actually get that sense of exactly what the game is, and you might be able to win customers. I think a lot of the conversation also spans into, well, if a demo comes out, it might hurt the sales of the game. If the game comes out and some people in some corner are not happy with the game, they would do way more damage than, say, the demo would ever be able to do. Now, as for studios who have been able to leverage a demo, we already see or have seen that Capcom has leveraged 2 betas for their Street Fighter 6 game, which I participated in the second beta, and I can tell you it's a very solid game. I'm buying already day one. And Forspoken also engaged in a beta just recently. Now, that game gave me the exact notion that I actually needed to get, which is I'm not necessarily interested in playing that game just yet. Now, I do have a free copy from a hardware device I bought a long time ago, but still, I already got a taste and a feel for the game, but I never necessarily write off video games, so I'll give it a second try, seeing that a copy is free for me from a purchase that I made, for an AMD hardware that I bought a while ago. If you think about how these demos are able to basically provide a lot of information and details, I think there's a no-brainer that Warner Brothers, or at least the development studio at Avalanche, have not necessarily announced or said anything towards it. Now, does this mean that we're guaranteed a demo, or does this mean that a demo is going to show up for Hogwarts Legacy? I don't think that's necessarily the case, but I think this needs to be a practice going forward for the health of a game and for the health of the community. Now, keep in mind as well, too, that there are actually new people that are looking towards this game that are changing their minds in real time. In fact, one of my audience members said, I was hoping that this game was actually not going to be good, and I'm paraphrasing here, not necessarily a direct quote, so that I would not have to buy it. And this audience member of mine basically confessed and said, yes, they're being petty. But after the showcase from the last time, they said they already pre-ordered it. So visualizing and seeing the game is already some kind of an attractive factor for people to change their entire position on the game. I wonder if we looked at the upsides of a demo, if we couldn't see even much more people coming and saying, yes, this is something that I want to get into, because now there's a playable piece of the game. I'll rest my case for now. Probably something that the developers may consider or may not consider, and even the community may eventually start to put forward as a request. Thanks for watching the video. I appreciate you guys' time and audience, and hopefully we'll talk pretty soon in another one. Peace out.